6 o'clock means it's time for the April City of Beavercreek Planning Commission meeting. And without further ado, since we are called to order, we'll go for a roll call.
Ms. Akers?
Here.
Mr. Height?
Here.
Mr. Loftus?
Here.
Mr. Schreider?
Here.
Mr. Self?
Here. Okay, we are all here, so we need an approval of the agenda. Any additions, corrections, changes? Okay, I need a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the agenda as written.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Chair, I second.
And we have a motion and a second, and we'll do that by general consensus. Thank you. Minutes from the March meeting, which are extensive, and the usual good job by our clerk. Any additions, corrections, changes, problems?
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the meetings from the March 6th Planning Commission.
Thank you, ma'am.
I'll second.
And I have a second, and we'll do that by general consensus. Thank you very much. On the agenda tonight, we have 2 public hearings and a decision item. But if you are here for the Homestead Village, which is the first item, they have asked to table that until the May meeting. So I need a motion to table.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion to table PUD 06-3 SSP number 4.
Thank you.
I'll second.
And I have a second, and we'll do that by voice. All in favor, aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Motion carries. So that will be tabled until the May meeting. Moving right along, our second public hearing tonight is PUD 19-1. Go ahead and read the...
This is case number PUD 19-1 on an application filed by Danis Incorporated, 3233 Newmark Drive, Miamisburg, Ohio, 45342. The application requests approval to rezone 1.595 acres from B2 Community Business District and A1 Agricultural District to a CPUD Commercial Planned Unit Development. The property is located at 1464 and 1474 North Fairfield Road, further described as Book 5, Page 5, Parcel 123 and 124 on the Greene County Property Tax Atlas.
Thank you. Just to let you know how we run our public hearings, we'll first ask for a presentation from the developer. Then we will get a report from our staff. Once that's done, then we'll open the public hearing for input from y'all. We ask you to limit yourself to 3 minutes so we aren't here too late. And if you may speak in favor of, against, or simply ask questions. Once everybody has had a chance to speak, then the commissioners will discuss and hopefully come to a conclusion. So without further ado, I presume we have someone here representing the developer. If so, please come right forward and tell us what's on your mind. Don't be shy.
Good evening. My name's Kurt Zissler. I'm with Burkhardt Engineering, representing the developer, and we're proposed to rezoning to a CPUD rezoning. We're at the corner of North Fairfield Road and Lance Road. We've included just the basic site plan with this, so I'm really here to answer any questions anybody might have.
Thank you very much. That was nice and brief.
Evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the Planning Commission. The case you have before you is PUD 19-1. It's the IHCU rezoning, the credit union rezoning. They're looking to rezone about 1.6 acres, again, from B2 and A1 to a commercial PUD. And their intent is to construct, at this time, to construct a credit union on that site. Project's located north of the intersection of Dayton Xenia and North Fairfield Road. It's about 400 feet south of the intersection of Lance and North Fairfield Road, actually on the east side. Right now it consists of 2 parcels. On those parcels there's several buildings. There's 2 houses, there's a commercial business, there's some commercial storage and outdoor storage and accessory structures along with the 2 houses that are on that site. The 2 parcels have a combined frontage of about 240 feet along North Fairfield Road. Other than that, that's their only frontage. They don't have any access points at this time to Lance Road or anywhere else. currently there are 2 access points. It's kind of it's 2 access points to the side, but it's really functions as in and out on each side. So again, this is a different view of the site, and you can see the multiple buildings, and it's a pretty heavily developed property right now in terms of, you know, impervious surface. Go back. There we go. Again, the property, the northern portion of the property is zone A1, and then the southern parcel is actually zone B2. So it's got multiple zonings on it. And so we're looking to consolidate all into one PUD. To the west of North Fairfield Road is a daycare center and a car wash. They are both zoned commercially. To the north is a multi-tenant retail building, which is also zone B2. And then to the, I guess the east, that's the parking lot for that multi-tenant building. And then there's a house up here a little bit further to the east of that. And then to the south is St. Luke's Church. On our land use plan, it's highlighted as neighborhood, community, and commercial and office. And the intent for those type of developments on the land use plan are for smaller scale developments, you know, to accommodate the needs of the neighborhood, the daily needs of a neighborhood. So we propose that there's a modified list of B2 uses allowed in this zoning. So what we did was we started with the B2 uses that's already allowed on the on half of the site as is, and we eliminated some uses that we didn't think were appropriate given the proximity to the daycare and the church and the residential areas to the east, including we eliminated or proposed to eliminate things such as breweries, drug and alcohol rehabilitation centers, car rentals, truck rentals, trailers, and stuff like that that are allowed in B2 currently that, you know, they could technically do on half the site right now. So those are the proposed uses. In terms of setbacks, because, you know, it's heavily developed already, and, you know, it's surrounded basically by commercial. You know, we don't have any setbacks proposed other than, you know, they'll have to at least meet a 10-foot setback from the right of way in North Fairfield with a parking lot, but we didn't have any official setbacks established at the proposed rezoning or in the ordinance at this time. And same thing with access points. You know, we don't want to you know, limit that to a specific spot at this point, but legislatively we want to keep that to an administrative decision at a second stage. You know, this is a PUD, and just so everybody listening, you know, this is just the first step. A second step would be site plan, should this rezoning be approved. So in that step, we would look at, you know, architecturals and landscaping and lighting and stormwater detention and stuff like that. Staff does recommend approval of the applicant's requests. There are, I believe, five conditions in the proposed resolution, and I'm happy to answer any questions following the public hearing. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Just as a quick aside for our audience, and also for staff, or for my fellow commissioners, what we're doing tonight is looking at the rezoning. That's why you just see a square box on the drawing that may or may not represent the footprint of the building. We're looking only at rezoning tonight, so if your questions or concerns are with the design of whatever goes there, presuming there's an approval, save that for the specific site plan, which will be the next step on this. Just wanted to make sure y'all knew. Okay, now that we have had our usual comprehensive report from our staff, I'll open the public hearing. Anyone who wishes to speak about this, step right on up. We will ask you to limit yourself to 3 minutes, so we won't be here all evening, but step right on up. First person's always the toughest, so don't be shy. Dang. Y'all sure nobody wants to speak? Because once I close the public hearing, it's too late. Everybody's happy. Oh, good deal. Wonderful.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am. Please, if you would come up to the microphone and identify yourself and your address, and then
Okay.
fire away.
My name is Judy Eckhart. I live on 1521 St. Luke Drive, which is probably a block and a half from this property. Mine is a curious question. You said a credit union was going to go in there, or wants to. Am I allowed to ask who?
Sure.
Okay.
I'll just answer it right now.
Thank you.
The application has been for the IH Credit Union,
IH. Oh.
International Harvester. Mhm.
Okay. That's all I wanted to know.
Oh, that's fine.
Okay.
I'm glad you asked. Probably answered a lot of people's questions. Anybody else? Going once? Going twice? Did we have any written input? No written input. Okay, I'll close the public hearing, and I'll start on my left.
Mr. Chair, I have no questions.
Okay?
No questions, sir.
I just have one quick question for the developer, or for Mr. Zisler specifically. Do you know if a phase 1 has been completed as far as environmental assessment, because there is oil storage?
On
and-
there, yes, it has been. I don't know the complete results of it, but they are going through that process. of,
You are going through the phase
testing
1.
that soil borne and
Okay,
stuff. of that nature.
it's completed, but you guys don't have the results back yet?
I'm not 100%, I don't want to answer it. It's still in the
Okay.
process, so.
But you are going through that
Sure,
process.
that will
Okay,
be a process.
That's the only question I had.
For the uses.
Appreciate it.
Sure.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
No questions, Mr. Chair.
Okay. I do have just a quick one for staff, and I think I know the answer, but I want to know just to make sure. We have basically a B2 business on A1 zoning, and I presume that's just grandfathered because Bex has been there forever and a day,
Yes, for a long time.
30 years before the
Plus
city
that, yeah.
incorporated. Okay. Will part of this process recombine those two lots?
We will recombine them as part of the site plan stage.
Okay,
so.
good, because I know we
We don't
don't
want
like,
businesses
we don't
crossing
like to see
property lines.
buildings going across lot lines.
Correct.
Okay, good. All I needed to know. Thank you, sir. Ms. Akers, gentlemen, second helpings? Okay, I need a motion then.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve PUD 19-1 with the attached 5 conditions.
Mr. Chair, I second that motion.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Let's read the roll this time.
Mr. Height,
Yes.
Mr. Loftus,
Yes.
Mr. Schrader,
Yes.
Ms. Akers,
Yes.
Mr. Self.
Yes, motion carries 5-0, and we're looking forward to the new business, but we're also going to miss Bex. Okay, we have one more item on the agenda, and that is a PUD 97-1 with a minor mod.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the Planning Commission. We're here tonight considering a minor modification for the Chick-Fil-A restaurant on North Fairfield Road at the corner of North Fairfield and Lakeview Drive. As you may be aware, this is a very busy site Monday through Saturday, almost all the time. We've had adjustments over the years. We work with the applicant in terms of some other minor modifications to help try to improve some traffic flow around that site. But as with any busy business like that, you can't completely design for the unknown demand. So the demand is pretty high out there, which has led the applicant to have to improvise by bringing some of their staff out and taking orders before they get to the drive-through menu. Hopefully they get those orders in the queue before they actually get to the drive-up menu board so that they can start processing orders instead of processing them later when they get to the menu board. With that in mind, the applicant is proposing a minor modification for the use of canopies on the site. So let me show you what they're proposing first. So you can see here, this is pretty typical. We really don't have any concerns with the drive-through side canopy area. I mean, that's really to protect the customer from paying and getting food and protecting yourselves from the weather. This is really being driven by that issue with the rain, the sun, snow, and everything else that comes along with the employees being out there trying to take orders and I may be assuming this, but Mr. Rex Brookings here from Chick-Fil-A, he may be able to answer questions or correct me if I'm misspeaking. But what this canopy area does here is does shield the cars and the employees who are out there taking orders. Really, when they approached us with this, we were looking at it as an incidental modification, but the one concern that we had, really the only concern we have, is just the differential in the grade. So if you're at North Fairfield Road, you know that canopy will be right about here. For our initial concerns were that you'd be looking down on a canopy, is like almost like driving by a gas station and looking at the top of their canopy, even though it won't be as tall. But with the grade differential, we were worried about how that overall aesthetic would look as you're coming up and down North Fairfield. We didn't want to take anything away from the building. It's an attractive building. We didn't want to do anything to kind of take that aesthetic appeal away from. I understand it's functional, but we also have to look at it from the aesthetics of the streetscape along North Fairfield Road. We did do some, you can see here, we have some designs that they've submitted. Also had some kind of Google SketchUps that we could do for the best of our ability from the existing topography. So on Google Earth, what would it look like? Obviously this Chick-fil-A building. Again, there wasn't really concern on the other side. This is the canopy area that we were concerned with. This doesn't really show as bad of an effect that we thought it might have from the grade. But again, this isn't 100% accurate with what you'll actually see on site, because it is some software that we're not that familiar with. I mean, in terms of how accurate it will actually be if you're actually out on site. But this is the Lakeview side. So the Lakeview side does go downhill a little bit, so you can see that it will be on this side of the drive-through. But with that in mind, I mean, I don't really see too big of an issue. We have recommended approval of this, but we have made some conditions of that approval. One of which is to have two things that really stick out here. One is the construction of the pillars that are underneath that structure to be constructed of a brick, whether the brick encasing around the actual pillar itself to match the brick on the building. We similar to the Speedway down the street, all their canopies are the support structures are encased in a brick material to match the building next door or adjacent to the canopy. So we're looking at a condition similar to that. And the other one was no signage should be displayed on any canopies. We don't draw any undue attention to what's going out there. And the third was that the canopies colors need to be looked at and approved by the planning department. Actually, I don't even see that on here. Yeah, I think I would like to add that as a condition, just to say, because you can see the white here. Some of the mock-ups we did had more of a red, something to blend more into the building and stand out as a complete contradiction to some of the colors on the building. So I would like to add a sixth condition that has the canopy color, including the top of the canopy, be provide us with material samples and color samples so we can see what that would look like and be able to judge that against the existing facade against that building there. But like I said, the applicant's here if you have any questions, but I'd be happy to answer any after if Planning Commission has any. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Well, since this is not a public hearing and is a decision item, I should remind my fellow commissioners that being a minor mod, this is one of those administrative things that we do that does not go on to City Council. So we make the yay or nay on this, and I will start with Ms. Aker.
I have no questions, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
I did have a couple of quick questions for the developer from Chick-fil-A, for the applicant.
Hi, everyone. Tasha Bailey here.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, too.
So I have a question as far as the worker safety as they're coming across the front there. With putting in these posts, you're going to be reducing the overall width that you have for cars to travel at this point, and it's
Correct.
already really, really tight in there. Are they going to be bringing in the sidewalk a little bit to accommodate for this extra width? And what is the approximate width of that island that's going to have the support columns?
We do not have current plans to bring in the sidewalk. I would want to just validate that. And the current width overall, you're saying from face of curb to the outside face of the drive-through extension? Is that the width, just to clarify?
Yeah, specifically where the support columns are, where the roof cantilevers out from, yeah, correct, right there.
Yep, so
Like-
from the face of the support columns out to the outside face of the curb is about 11 feet in our current plans.
Okay, what's the actual width of that island? Right
Oh, of
there?
the island right there. So
Yep.
with the column surround that we're adding as part of the condition, we have about 2'10" right now
Okay.
in our current documents.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Mr. McGrath, do you have any issue with the width of that and the movement inside the circulation of traffic on that site?
No, their drive lanes are pretty wide on the outside, so if
Okay.
they had to make adjustments, they could. The only thing I want to make sure is with the bricking casing, the actual pillar, to
Gonna
make
make it
sure the
wider.
design is still appropriate. If it fits within the existing infrastructure that's out there on the site, include the island, then the drive-through traffic circulation shouldn't be impacted. But we'll look at that with the architectural requirements of the actual support beams themselves, and make sure it stays within those confines and doesn't have to shrink or expand the median anymore.
Okay, perfect. That was all I wanted. Appreciate it. Just want to make sure the city was okay with it. I have no more questions. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I have no questions, Mr. Chair.
No questions, Mr. Chair.
Okay. One observation, this looks very much to me like like a bank drive-through. So if you can kind of picture that in a canopied bank drive-through. Right, no, through the little vacuum tubes. No, I don't think so. That would be kind of
Food
tough.
through the tubes?
That'd be kind of tough to get a quarter of a chicken in one of those things. You probably wouldn't want to eat it. Do we know the approximate height to the bottom of the canopy?
It's 10 feet, I believe, right? About 10.
Correct. We have 9 steps from top of curb.
Okay.
About a 6-inch curb at the
So the two guys in a truck and their moving van
They're
will
gonna
not
have
be
to
going
park.
through it. Okay. And I was going to ask about the roof also, because the possibility that it is visible, if it's white, it's not going to stay white very long.
Right,
So,
and we're going to take a good look at that, make sure there's no support structures that are exposed on
Right.
top. We want it to look flush with the building, not see any of the actual guts that go into the construction of this canopy. We want to see a nice, smooth layer and something in a color that's compatible with the building.
right, and that would be the underside too.
Yeah, the
Almost
unders-
like a ceiling on the underside.
Exactly.
Like you would have,
We want
like
it to
like
look
at
a finished,
Speedway, like at the
a
new
finished
Speedway
product
station.
up top,
Okay.
right?
And help me out here, the double wide canopy apparently is not attached to the building.
Correct.
It's the single wide canopy that's cantilevered out, is that correct?
Right, there's a window here, there's existing awnings here that
Okay.
will be removed. And there was one other condition that didn't make it in the resolution that I wanted to bring up, and this, again, I'll defer this to the applicant if we haven't, I don't know, since they didn't see it in the staff report, I don't want to necessarily just require without their comment, but right now, I believe that those are the actual, when we approved the drive-through coverage planning commission did, for they were more red and tubular looking. But all the renditions we've seen, all the designs that have, we've seen one that's actually been constructed. Instead of this being a red tubular type canopy cover, we'd like to see that more architecturally compatible with the actual canopy. So if you can see in these areas that cover of the actual drive menu board is flat and matches the design of the canopy, and we just envision that this is a red tubular looking aesthetic right now to try to add a condition that become more compatible with the actual canopy that's adjacent to.
So you're referring to the supports that support the menus?
Right, we allowed covers. I'll see if I can get a good picture of it. You can kind of see here, it's the red and they've got a different design than what the actual canopy will look like. We would like not to see that be in such contrast as once you get past the canopy, then the drive-through menu boards have a big red, different design type cover for protection when you're ordering your food at the menu.
So basically what you're saying then is the menu board design will be compatible with the new canopy design?
The menu board canopies will be compatible with the canopy they're proposing to install.
Those actually were just replaced.
Why don't you come up to Rex?
Rex Brooking, I'm the owner. Those menu boards have already been replaced. They were replaced about a week and a half ago. So they are going to match the new canopies. I made sure that we got that done before because that would look awful. Yeah.
Good. Answered our question.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I wasn't aware, but we can
Okay,
make
so-
sure. I haven't seen it, so we can
So
add
the double
condition.
canopy will be supported by the posts,
Correct.
and the single canopy will be cantilevered out.
Correct.
Will it have any kind of supports above the canopy, or will the brackets be below the canopy?
I'll let the
She's just itching to answer
yeah.
that question. Come on up so you
Not
can
exactly sure what you did.
so you can speak in the microphone.
Just wanted to provide some clarifications for the canopy adjacent to the delivery window that actually will have its own structural system with foundations tying into the existing building foundation. So it will
Okay.
not be cantilevered off the existing building.
Okay.
And it will not have any structure above to specifically answer your question.
Okay, but it appears there are no posts on the outboard side.
Correct. It's cantilevered off of columns
Got
new
it.
columns that will be added. So it's still a cantilever system, just not from the existing building structure.
Okay, good. We get fairly strong winds here every so often, so, but I'm sure it will be nice and sturdy. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Ms. Akers, gentlemen, second helpings, further questions? We happy with this? If we are, then I need a motion.
Well, I was just gonna say, I was there earlier this week, and there was a young lady out there standing in the pouring rain taking my order, so this is very lovely to see. Mr. Chair, I move to approve PUD 17-1, Mod 319, with the suggested 5 recommendations and adding a 6th that says the final materials and colors of the canopies will be reviewed and approved by the staff prior to release of a zoning permit.
Spoken like a lawyer.
Do we want to add the matching condition as well? Where all the fit and finish should be?
If they've done it, then it shouldn't matter if we add it. I just want to make sure, it just gives us an opportunity, because this is our last time for you guys to decide on this. We can go out and say it's already been met. But I would feel more comfortable that I haven't seen it yet, so I would feel
Okay.
more comfortable that it's in there.
Yep.
They just match.
Or I haven't paid attention to it anyway, if that was there.
And then an additional 7th condition that says the menu board canopies will be congruent with the new canopies that are to be installed.
Mr. Chair, I second. We good?
I'm sorry?
No, we do want to check with the lawyers or anybody as far as the language goes, or are you ready for a second?
She is a lawyer.
The other lawyer.
What part of?
Lawyer number 3 on the dais. We're good?
We good? Okay.
Mr. Chair, I motion to second.
Thank you. Okay, we have a motion and a second, and I will ask Ms. Melissa to read the roll, please.
Mr. Loftus?
Yes.
Mr. Schreider?
Yes.
Ms. Akers?
Yes.
Mr. Height?
Yes.
Mr. Self?
Yes, motion carries 5-0, and we have to have a little bit of fun on this. Anything else for the good of the order, ladies, gentlemen? Okay, I will adjourn the meeting at 6:29.
Mr. Chair, I move to adjourn the meeting.
Thank you, that too.
Mr. Chair, as a non-lawyer, I would second
Right.
that.
As a non-lawyer, I went out of order.